Hello and welcome to the Navy Blue Corner. I'm Ian and it is that time again. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough 6 weeks, let's be honest. And we've slowly just been letting our season get away from us. And finally that dam burst last week on the weekend against Hawthorn. And it's really do or die now. And it's felt like that for the past few weeks, that going into each game, we just had to win. We had to find a way to get those results or our season would slip. But right now we're at that final point. We're at the point where if we lose this weekend against the Eagles, our finals dream is basically over. We'd then basically be relying on results to go our way, and we would still have to beat St. Kilda, and maybe we just limp our way into that final spot in the 8. This game against West Coast, we simply have to win. We have to get it done. And now I know how everyone is feeling. I'm feeling it too. You know, there's just a massive air of negativity around the place. And look, it's justified. We're angry, we're annoyed because they've let us down. They've squandered a massive chance, and there really is no guarantee that next year it's just going to magically get better. We're going to overcome this. And I get it. You know, mentally things are looking bad. Coaching-wise, things are looking bad. Add on to that the years and years of the same thing, the same disappointment, and I get it. I understand it. But if you're wanting negativity, you're probably not going to find that in this preview episode this week. Or at least I'm going to try my best to not be so negative and try to bring some optimism to the Carlton space. If you want that negativity, listen to the Hawthorn review. It's there. You can listen to it. I got angry. I'm sure we all have, and we've felt those same emotions. But I said in that episode that was going to be where I let that all out. And in this preview episode, the West Coast game, building this up, I was going to try my hardest not to be so down on everything. So I guess wish me luck. And honestly, a big reason for that is that the longer this week's gone on, the closer we've gotten to the West Coast game, the more frustrated I've been, you know, listening to so much negativity, the constant complaining, and that's on myself as well. I heard back my review episode, and normally the closer we get to those games, I do start to get more optimistic. And while I've been on that journey this week and seeing all those comments, hearing the frustrations from everyone, thinking back to my review, what I said, I think I've just decided that I don't want to be in that negative headspace anymore. You know, thinking about everything in my role as a fan, I think I've realized that we don't really have a lot of control over anything. We can't kick the ball. We can't set up the tactics. We can bring the noise. That's about it. Overall, we just don't have a massive bearing over the result each and every week. We can't change how things are going. What we do have control over is our mindset, how we react to what happens. And right now, we're all going through it as fans, me included. And I want to make that distinction very clear, that when I'm saying all of this, I'm also talking about me. And after the last 6 weeks that have gone on, there is this real defeatist attitude that's really started to creep in amongst us all. This, it's typical Carlton. We're always shit. 20 plus years of garbage. We're never going to be any good. We're soft. We're weak. All of it. The list goes on. And I feel like a big reason why we struggle so much as a fan base and we get into that negative space is just when things start to go bad, we just can't separate all the past failures. We're holding on to the baggage of 20 plus years of failures. And is that healthy? Is that helping us? Is that good for us? Absolutely not. And look, I'm not just going to say that this is magically going to disappear. You know, if we lose this week, I'll probably go right back into that space for the review episode. It's natural. It happens. But right here, right now, we've got 2 games left. 2 games left of the regular season. Finals is still there for us. If we win these 2 games, and I know this is so ridiculously optimistic, everyone's going to be saying you're delusional, whatever, and I can wear that. I'm happy to wear that. I'm always going to try and be optimistic and positive. And right now, finals is still there to play for, and I'm choosing to keep fighting until it's impossible to do so, until it's mathematically ruled out. 2 weeks. That's nothing. And, we can sit here, we can be in that negative headspace. We can talk about bottling it. We can talk about why the club seems to always fall at this sort of hurdle. Whenever we start to get over that hill, things come crashing down. We can talk about how to fix it all. We'll analyze every single piece of this season, reflect on that poor year, the wasted opportunity, what that means going forward. We can do all that, but we've got a whole off season to look at that. We've got plenty of time. The podcast doesn't stop. We can do that then. We've spoken all season long, and particularly at the start of this year, about being in that moment and how do we react when things don't go our way. Well, that's happening right now. We're living through it not going our way. Do we just give up? There's still 2 games left, and yeah, it's looking unlikely that we'll make finals at this stage, but it hasn't happened yet. We can react to it when it does. But right now, if we want these boys to keep fighting, we can't expect them to do so if we just give up now. And I'm not saying that the fans are at all to blame in this, or that we haven't already given our money, given our support, rocked up every week. How there was 80,000 supporters at the game on the weekend. We're giving everything. It's not up to us necessarily, but what I'm saying is we're all going to still be here. We're not going to stop supporting the club. We're going to watch these next 2 games. So why drop off? Why drop off mentally? Why be in that negative spot? Why do that? Why let it eat at you, We aren't owed anything for our support. Just because we've suffered the heartbreak all our lives as fans, we aren't owed any kind of success. Right here, it's shit. What Carlton are doing at this stage is not good enough. We might be wasting the best list that I've ever seen in my lifetime. But for me, you can criticize it and still support them and go into each game with that positive mindset. All I've known as a Carlton supporter is hurt. What's another arrow through the heart this time? We've had worse pain. This is nothing for us Carlton supporters. And look, the season isn't done. When it is, we'll discuss it all. We'll get through those little elements. We'll go hard. We'll 100%, etc. All that stuff. We'll get it done. But I'm always going to be that positive person. I'm always going to be hopeful. I'll live in the negative space in the moment, but give me a few days and I'll bounce right back and say, let's go again. That's just the way I am. I can't help it. It's just not healthy to live in that defeat. And if we don't hope to win each and every week, why are we giving up our time? Why are we giving up our effort, money, and letting these fellas dictate our mood? 2 weeks is all I'm asking. And then if it all goes to shit, like it looks like it will, we're going to have the summer to cool off. But I'm choosing to keep fighting because this club's my life. If the last 28 years of torment hasn't killed off my passion, my love for this club, I don't think anything will. So let's fucking make finals. Enough of who cares if we limp in and we're just making up the numbers. Last year, we were begging for finals. We wanted that more than anything, just to make it. We were saying it doesn't even matter if we lose the first final. It's just about being there. Yet 12 months on, we're treating finals like it's something that we're owed. And not just that, the top 4 is something that should just be given to us. And if we don't get top 4, or top 2, it's worthless. Who cares? Not for me. The focus right now, right here, it's on the Eagles. It's on winning this week. We're wounded. I mean, physically, definitely, mentally, of course, more than ever, but I want to win. So I guess let's jump straight into it. Let's have a look at this game. And we're facing the West Coast Eagles, and they've been really poor this year. The Eagles that were horrific for most of this season, well, they've gotten rid of Adam Simpson, and all of a sudden they're starting to look decent. There's a bit of uptick there. They've had that injection of energy that caretaker coach gives you, and we know that. We've lived through that far too many times as Carlton supporters. We know it better than anyone, and they've now won 2 on the bounce. They'll be up and about. And I guess when you're looking at our injuries as well and our form line, West Coast are heading into this game thinking, well, we're a good chance we can win this. They're going to be up and about. And without being disrespectful to West Coast, even with our injuries, even with our current form and everything, the shitstorm that is around the Carlton Football Club right now, West Coast is still beatable. They weren't amazing last week against North. They probably stole the win in the end, but they're playing with some level of enthusiasm that it's just infectious right now. The shackles have been released and they're just playing with a bit of fun and positivity. And we're going to have to find a way to stamp that out, particularly early. And that's something that we've struggled with in recent weeks because of our own belief, our own intensity. It's just been something that's dwindled away the last few months. But if we want to win this game, we can't give them a sniff. Look, our lack of, when I'm looking at the team that's probably going to be out there this weekend, there's going to be a lack of continuity, a lack of chemistry within that 22. And I think that might hurt us if this game is close with not a lot of time left to go, and that lack of experience, togetherness, that might let us down. But we can win this game. Don't let anyone tell you that we can't. It's going to be hard, absolutely, but why not? Let's go out there, get some intensity. Season is finally 100% on the line. Lose this, you can basically 100% kiss finals goodbye. And maybe we're going to have a lot of players out there that get their first opportunity. Is there a bit of positivity lifted with some debuts? Who knows? But we can win it. Why not? But now the biggest talking point of this game, it's obviously around team selection and our injuries. Good Lord, do we have a lot of those? And when I was taking a look at our depth chart to see who's missing, the one that we made mid-season, we're missing 9 from our best 23 and 13 from our best 30. That's half the squad that we are missing right now. And a stat came out from, Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter, and he said we're missing 1,520 games of experience from what is on our injury report this week. And the next worst compared to that is Geelong, who are missing 855. And crazily, the gap when you look at that between us and Geelong, that gap is bigger than the gap between Geelong and the team with the lowest amount of games lost through injury. That is crazy to think about what we're not going to have out on the park this week. And that's a problem. We're struggling when we are healthy. We're going to struggle when we don't have those players out there. Mackay, Curnow, Sard, Boyd, Martin, Fogarty, they are all going to be missing this week from the team that played against the Hawks. Or probably should just say the team that started against the Hawks because they weren't out there for long. It's all about how we replace them. Now, I want to know from you guys how you think that we'll fix this injury crisis this week, or how do we try to solve it at least? Let me know in the comments if you're watching this here on Blue Abroad on YouTube, in the comments below. If you're listening in audio form, head over to the socials at Navy Blue Corner. What team changes would you make this week? And I guess, what am I doing this week? And who can possibly come in? How can we try to put on that cap of let's win this week? What are the moves? And looking straight at Adam Sard out of that back line, I think there's a few obvious things we can do. Chincotta comes straight back into the team. He's no longer the sub. He goes to that half-back line, and you're probably having to swing Zach Williams into defense as well to cover. Maybe you throw a guy in like a Billy Wilson if you're desperate. I know he's played a bit of half-back and get a bit of run, but I'm going to try and play it as, I guess, safe as possible. And I think Zach Williams into the defense makes more sense than debuting a Billy Wilson. And obviously we've got Jordan Boyd to cover there as well. So you're losing 2, Chincotta and Zach Williams are covering those 2. But the big thing that we need to cover and find a way to do it is key forwards. No Harry, no Charlie. There's no Jack Silvani to jump in. There's no DeConing to jump in. There is no key forwards, recognized key forwards to play there. So what do we do? Now, I think one of the simple things is Harry Lemmy gets his debut. Throw him in there. He's been okay. VFL form hasn't been amazing. But if you're not going to debut him now, when he's the only recognized VFL key forward that we've got on our list, what else are you going to do? And I think the talk then, apart from that, is it Lewis Young that gets that spot? Do you throw Mitch McGovern? Do you throw Brodie Kemp forward? What I'm going to do is I am going to throw Brodie Kemp forward. Now, I'm interested to know how everyone's thinking in this, and let me know in the comments, but I'm thinking Brodie Kemp's been poor in defense the last month or so, this bad stretch of form. He's giving his opponent way too much space. It was annoying me. It was infuriating me on Sunday And I think McGovern and Kemp are similar players. Who's the better defender? I believe it's Mitch McGovern. So I want to throw Brody Kemp forward. I want to keep the team as best as possible in the areas that we can allow, which means McGovern is better in defense. So if you're making a change somewhere else, you're going to get the less of that. And I think Brody Kemp, we see, likes to move forward. He likes to stream through, and maybe that'll help him a little bit in that forward line. So he's going to partner Harry Lemmy, and in defense, that means that Lewis Young is going to come into it. Yeah, you could keep the defense stable and keep Brody Kemp down there and throw Lewis Young forward, but I just don't like Lewis Young as a forward, and I almost would have dropped Brody Kemp this week if everyone was fit. I probably would have. I don't think his form's been great, and when I'm looking at this defense and what it's lacking, I spoke of this a few weeks ago. I think we need another lockdown defender rather than playing two kind of intercept, float-off players like McGovern and Kemp to partner a Jacob Wiedering. So that's my idea this week. Lewis Young's your lockdown, McGovern's your high interceptor, roaming, looking to rebound, and then Wiedering can kind of have the best of both worlds there. Hopefully, you're getting the best out of Wiedering by having Lewis Young do all the dirty work. And then Brody Kemp can go in that forward line. And so the other changes I am making this week would be trying to replace, your Jack Martins, your Fogarty. What are we doing with that? And firstly, Jack Martin, I'm bringing in Ashton Moyer. He's the closest we have on the list, like for like, another kind of marking dynamic forward. Is he ready? Probably not, but we have no one else. So Ashton, you're getting your go this week. You're getting a debut. And then trying to fix Fogarty and maybe that higher half forward, because, always he's going to be there. We're going to have those small forwards. We're going to have Moyer around it. I'm bringing in the leg speed of a guy like Jackson Binns. He probably makes more sense to be Orazio Fantasia, but he has not played football in a very long time. He's been out injured. And yes, he's a test to play this week. Yes, it makes more sense when I'm already bringing in so many, inexperienced players. But do I trust Fantasia to get through the game? Am I picking another underdone player that this has caused so many of our problems so far? That's what I'd be doing if I was bringing in Orazio. So Binzi goes to my half forward line, and I'm making a massive controversial call here by dropping Jesse Motlop. Now, I know David King was similar to me this week in thinking Motlop was really poor on the weekend. And what frustrated me the most was not just his lack of chasing, but he was getting in the way of players. Twice he got in the way of the Carlton player leading for the mark. Did it to Cripper. I think he did it to Hewitt as well. And that's not his role. His role is not to be going across and taking those marks. I don't like what he's been up to. I would have dropped him if we were all fit. And with Corey Durden being available, I'm bringing Durden in. I believe Motlop's a better player, but I'm trying to set some sort of standard here if I can. And I think that there's the talent available to do it. And then those last sort of spots, I've got a sub spot and I got a spot on my bench. I'm bringing in Cooper Lord. He's been named to debut. And I absolutely love that for him. Regardless of the injuries, he's deserved a debut on form and form alone. What he's done in the twos has been absolutely unreal. Applied himself a lot. And I'm adding him to those midfield rotations this week. And maybe that allows a guy like Sam Walsh to spend some more time on the wing, maybe a half forward. I just want to change things up a little bit around that midfield. It's been way too stagnant. We were talking about that in the Hawthorn review episode and looking at the center bounces. It was the same players the whole time. It was the same four midfielders rotating in there. Elijah Hollins only had one center bounce. I want to see more from him. I want to see more from Cooper Lord, and I'm excited to see how we rotate this. I don't love it, but if we find the forward line struggling a lot, then maybe we can throw a Kennedy down there. But my idea is that my midfield is Cripps, Walsh, Kennedy, Hewitt, Lord, and Elijah Hollins. Rotate that as much as you need. Maybe allow Cripps to go forward and be a marking target. The midfield hasn't been working with Cripps being Superman, so why not force the others to finally have to step up and do something? That's where I'm looking at it. And then maybe really stiff out of this, but I'm making Jack Carroll my sub this week. So maybe it's been a little bit hard to follow. everything in me spitballing that out here, but I'll try to have the graphic on screen now with my team and my team changes to make things easier for you if you're watching on YouTube. But I'll read those out again. So Carroll comes in as the sub. Lemmy's in. Cooper Lord's in. Moya, Binns, Young, and Durden. Out is Sard, Kerno, Fogarty, Martin, Boyd, Mackay, and Motlop is dropped. That means Lewis Young's in your defense. Brody Kemp swung forward. Binns is on the half forward. Durden and Lemmy make up the rest of your forward line with Moya on the bench. Zach Williams in defense. Cooper Lord in the midfield. But let me know your changes. It's going to be tough. There's really just not a lot to choose from this week. Whether you'd like to drop players or not, it almost comes down to who's fit and who's shown a bit in the VFL, and then who makes sense team balance wise. You can't just take a player out and bring another one in when it doesn't make sense. It's not a like for like. So let me know what you're doing here on YouTube in the comments and on the socials at Navy Blue Corner. And the last thing to touch on before this episode concludes, I know it's been a bit of a quick one. There's honestly just not a lot to cover, and I'm trying to be positive, so I can't talk for too long. Otherwise, I'll spiral into that sea of negativity. But the last segment, as always, is what do you want to see? We normally ask this one to ourselves and to the viewers, the listeners, in what do you want to see is not about the win. It's all about the little things. Is there something from the coaching? Is there something from the performance that you want to see? High tackles, better pressure around the stoppages, better structure. Do you want to see a certain player kick a goal? Whatever it is, that's what this segment is for. And if you want to go down that route, absolutely drop it in the comments. Are there little things that you want to see from this week? Let me know in the comments and at the socials. But I'm going against what we normally do here on the podcast. What do you want to see? Win. That's it. We don't need to go any deeper into it this week because it's not about the performance anymore. It's not about the individuals. It's not about seeing evolutions in the coaching game plan. Not about that. Just win. We can do that. I believe that we can win this week, even with as negative as everything has been around the club, around the fan base this week, and for the last 6 weeks. We can still make finals. We can still go out there and win. There is 2 weeks, people. I've repeated that how many times, in this episode, because when you think about how long the season has been and what we've had to go through, it's 2 weeks, guys. And that's at a minimum, because I want to make finals. It's been a long year. We're emotionally drained, but we're all still here. And we're all going to go through it together, no matter if we win or lose. But I'm going to back us in, because why not? I'm going to be supporting us next week. I'm going to be supporting us next year and for the rest of my life. So why not go in with the positivity of fuck everything that's happened this year. Screw what happened last year and for 20 plus years. Don't worry about it. Worry about this week and focus in on the Eagles, because that's what this team need to do. Finals is on the line. Let's get it done. Up the bloody baggers. See you guys next time.